Welcome to Money, Manifestation, and Business, the podcast that shows you how to use your energy, intention, and consciousness to reprogram your money mindset, unleash a new level of possibility, and create a life and business that lights you up. I'm your host, Jamie Berman, and I invite you to join me each week for a dose of inspiration, coaching, and teachings to help you rewrite your money story, create abundance on your terms, and grow your business in a way that's fully aligned for you. This is going to be so much fun. Let's dive in. Hi, my love. So this week, I'm bringing you a different kind of episode. This is going to be an episode where someone is interviewing me, me as a client, me as I was going through a phase of learning and a phase of growth. And I want to tell you how I got inspired to release this episode on my podcast. It's because a couple of weeks ago, in my mastermind, I was coaching one of my clients who was really struggling to rest. She felt like she couldn't slow down, right? And even if she did slow down or she did take vacation, she felt like her mind was tormenting her, like telling her she's lazy, she should be doing more, she needs to keep doing in her business, otherwise it's all going to go away. And she did not feel safe resting. She also didn't feel like it was okay. And she's not alone, right? So many of us feel that way. I don't know about you, but I grew up believing it's lazy to lay on the couch. Like you can't rest, right? My parents would always say, nope, go play outside, go do things, go, get up. We couldn't sleep in. It was, nope, you guys got to get up, do your chores, right? That's what was programmed. Like it's lazy to lay down. It's lazy to rest. And I know I'm not alone with that because I've coached so many people on this. And I've been through my own personal transformation journey and my own journey with, I'll say healing my relationship with doing, and learning how to create safety in resting and how to actually rest, right? And what's fun is couple weeks ago, whenever I was coaching my client on this, I thought, oh my gosh, I've recorded a podcast episode. I said my friend Vikki Louise, who was my rest coach at the time, this was about 2 years ago, she had me on her podcast and interviewed me after I had gone through that journey, after I had been coaching with her, learning how to rest. And I re-listened to that episode because I was like, I think that might be helpful to send to my masterminders, right? So I re-listened to that episode and I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize this. First of all, I was like, okay, there's some good stuff in here. Second of all, I'm like, oh my gosh, it was during that period. It was about 2.5 years ago when I had decided to take a sabbatical because I will say, pretty burnt out. I had a massive quantum leap year. I was recalibrating to that. I also had a bunch of different circumstances happen in my life that were really hard, very traumatic. I was dealing with a lot. I was supposed to be launching again. And I remember thinking, I can't do it. Like, I can't do it. There is nothing in me. There's no life force energy. I am not going to launch from this place. And I pulled my launch and decided I really needed a self-care sabbatical. I really needed some time to reset, to rest after a year of doing and having the busiest calendar ever. My soul needed it. But my ego was so scared. My mind was so scared of the idea of that. Of course, it feels like, wait, if I'm going to take time off work and take a quarter sabbatical, everything's going to fall apart. No one's going to follow me anymore. I'm going to have to restart over. Like, of course, I was terrified of the idea, but I was hearing it from my intuition. My spirit was speaking loudly, like, Jamie, you need a rest. You need a sabbatical. And so I went on this journey of learning to rest. And because it was so uncomfortable to take that sabbatical, I started working with Vikki Louise, who helps people with this. She is a feminist time coach who helps us reprogram the way that we see time. And I just knew I needed to work with her because it was an area of my life that I struggled with a lot after multiple burnouts and feeling like I always had to be doing something and working since I was 11 years old. learning to rest was my growing edge. So I went through a journey. I got coached on it. I took a sabbatical. And after about 6 months of going through that journey, Vikki had asked me to be on her podcast, the Hack Your Time podcast. And it was so fun re-listening to that interview because 2 years later, I realized, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize this, but it was through that sabbatical, it was through that time of taking off, slowing down, resting, that I came up with the idea for the money manifestation movement. I just noticed this. I didn't even realize that, right? Because as I was sharing it from 2 years ago, and I'm re-listening to this episode because I'm thinking, oh, this could be helpful to maybe send to, my mastermind clients so that they could hear my journey with rest. And as we're reprogramming it in the mastermind, I was like, yeah, let me re-listen to this episode. And I noticed, oh my gosh, I would not have this program had I not taken that time, right? And it's in hindsight that I realized this because I totally forgot that that's when I came up with the idea. And then I started creating it. And it's now my signature program. And I've now had hundreds of people go through it and literally transform their relationship with money and learn to manifest and learn about their energy. And I just thought that was amazing. And as I was listening, I thought, you know what? I really think others could probably benefit from this episode. And I think it'll be fun for y'all to hear me in a different context where I'm the client, where I'm still learning and growing. And of course, this was me 2 years ago. So I've come so far since then. But I still think there's so much goodness within this episode that I want to share it on my podcast here 2 years later, 2 years post being interviewed. And hopefully it will be helpful for you. I think working on your relationship with rest is very, very valuable, especially as an entrepreneur. I do not think we can be as creative as we possibly can. I don't think we're going to come up with our, highest visions. We are not going to be able to step into our highest self and have the impact that we could have if we do not give ourselves space, if we do not rest, and we don't have downtime and silence and allow ourselves to have some space for deep listening. So I want to encourage you to, think about this for yourself. What's your relationship with rest? And it may be an opportunity to start reprogramming your thoughts about this. And, I'm so grateful that I did this work. And because of that, I can now help others with it because I have been through this journey. It's work I continue to do, but it really changes a lot. So I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I will also leave Vikki's info below because she's an amazing human. She's a good friend of mine. She has coached me through this and really supported me in changing my relationship with rest. And so, you can follow her because her work is absolutely amazing. Enjoy the episode.
Are you ready to hack your time? I'm Vikki, and I am obsessed with course correcting everything that you've been taught about how to use your time, because I know that you can create more success while having more fun and taking more rest. I went from doing all the things, working 80-hour weeks, to creating a 15-hour work week. Listen and learn how to hack your time so you never have to say that you don't have time ever again. You too will learn how to accelerate without doing more today. Hello, lovely people. I am so excited today to have my dear friend, time hacker and money manifesting goddess. In fact, all manifesting. I feel like you've helped me manifest more than just money. And in fact, I kind of feel like we manifested each other into our lives. Right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, Jamie Berman, by the way. Said everything but your name.
Yes. Hello. So happy to be here.
So happy you are here. And just so everyone knows, I like stopped the recording for a minute so we could, have a pre-chat. And everything we were saying was like, wait, we want to say that. So by this point, you will all know that I am hosting something called Rest Week, the end of August, kicking off August 22nd. But what you don't know is the inspiration behind Rest Week. The actual creator of Rest Week is actually Jamie Berman. Or like what I'll be doing is obviously different, but Jamie first mentioned Rest Week to me a few months ago now. Like,
yep.
Might have even
in January.
Yeah. So why don't you tell people about Rest Week, what it is for you, how you came up with the concept, all of the good stuff?
Yes, totally. So Rest Week came from a challenging time that I was going through. So actually when we met about not even a year ago, which is crazy. It feels like so much longer. We met in Italy. It was amazing. And we just had the best conversations. And I remember being so inspired by the way that you think about time. And, I love manifestation, and I have done so much work around manifesting money, manifesting all the things. But I realized, oh my gosh, I'm in time scarcity. This is an area that this is sticky. And I realized as you were talking about time, I'm like, oh, these are the thoughts that I have about money as I've done my money work. And I was like, I want to have that with time. I want to feel abundant with time, because that was one area that was totally tripping me up and causing me to, just not enjoy the time that I did have off, and feel like even though I had cut down my hours, I felt like I was always working in my head. So I realized I was still always drained, and honestly realized, and I think it's just probably through some conversation that we had, that I didn't know how to rest. And that was kind of hard to realize, but at the same time, really good and really needed. And I knew that was my next edge and my next area of growth. So basically at the end of last year in December, I had gone through so many things, like personally, and then I was in the middle of a launch and my dog was sick in the hospital. I wasn't sleeping for a week straight. So I just went through it, and I was in burnout and realized I really need rest. So I took this courageous action of just dropping my launch, or not dropping it, but postponing it. And I was like, I need a sabbatical. Like, I need to learn how to rest, and this body needs to be rested. It was like my whole body was screaming at me. So I basically decided to take, and this was scary, but I was like, it was like my intuition was just like, there's no other way, right? So I was like, I have to do it. It's so scary, but I'm taking the whole month off. I was like, I'm taking January off. In fact, I'll even go into February, but I'm going to get my system back, my nervous system better. I'm going to learn how to rest. I'm actually going to rest for the whole month. And I called it a self-care sabbatical. And through that, like, my intention, I remember beginning of January was just, I pick a word of the year, and my word was rest this year. It was like, I'm going to learn how to rest from Vikki. And so through that, as I was like taking a whole month off, I'm like, what if instead of like going, and then needing a vacation so bad to the point where that month was not even enjoyable because it felt like there was so much pent up energy that needed to be released and processed and everything. So I decided, instead of waiting until I need an entire month sabbatical, why don't I just break this down throughout the year so that I am having this time off? And that's when I was like, let's do Rest Week. Let's do once a month Rest Week. I'll do it the last week of every month. I'll make it work amazingly for my clients, and just a week to reset and not necessarily feel like I have to fill it with a vacation or something like that, which is something I would do in the past. Like, if I had time off, it was like, ooh, where am I going to go? Who am I going to see? So there was just no rest.
Right. Which is, I'm so glad you touched on that point, because a lot of people listening will, like, I want everyone to really think about, like, how do you even define rest? Like, really, what is rest to you? Do you think being on vacation is rest? Because actually, for parts of your brain, it's not rest at all. It's getting used to, like, being in an unfamiliar environment. It can put your alerts, it can put you on high alert and out of your comfort zone. And, like, of course, you can lay by a pool. There are just different types of rest and different resting needs. And you're like, you, in case you can't see Jamie, she's nodding her head, having gone through this experience of like repeating rest versus, I just love that you said that. I think it's really important that we know that rest doesn't have to be filled.
Yeah. And I think for me, I was like, oh, I know how to take time off. I know how to work this amount of hours, but I didn't know how to rest my brain, which meant I wasn't resting. It's mental. If you don't know how to mentally rest, for me, it blocks creativity, it blocks flow. And me as a manifester, I can't be doing that.
Yeah.
So I just realized the importance of it. And I can't say it was easy or is easy, but I just totally see the benefit now.
Yes. I mean, so one of my favorite Jamie sayings is manifesting is my business plan. I love it. I requote it back to her all the time. And when I was thinking about this podcast, I was like, rest is my business plan.
Yes.
For all those reasons you said, it's like true rest. Firstly, it doesn't have to be long. I think often people are like, oh, I don't have time for rest, versus realizing 3 minutes of actual like silence in your brain can be so valuable. And just starting where you are. And this is obviously all these things we're going to go through during rest week, where I will say people joining rest week don't have to rest the full week. Like there's no rule on that. But I do think it's really powerful for your brain, having gone close to burnout and experienced that, to know ahead of time that you are taking care of it. Like, how has it changed your relationship, do you think, with your brain and with yourself, knowing that you have created rest week?
Hi, friend. Let me ask you something. Are you ready to up level your money mindset and really release the things that have been holding you back? Release your limitations and your money blocks and that self-doubt and imposter syndrome that's been coming up for you, that's getting in the way of creating more abundance and more impact in your business. If so, I have the perfect opportunity for you that you're going to absolutely love. So mark your calendars for September 20th and 21st, because I am hosting my first ever abundance retreat live in San Diego, California. So we're going to come together and we are going to do the inner and outer work to create more abundance in your life. And I absolutely cannot wait for this. So picture it, me, you, and a group of soulful entrepreneurs coming together, doing a combination of coaching and other fun activities that are going to help you shift your energy and shift your money mindset in a massive way. My past retreat participants have said things like, I feel like I got 6 months of coaching in 2 days, because it's an immersive and a transformational experience. And it's so much fun. The people who come to these are amazing, and there's so much connection and networking that happens. And I just want to invite you in. And right now we have our early bird discount. So you can get some money off. All you have to do is go to the show notes and register. And I will see you in San Diego in September. It's going to be so much fun. Oh my gosh, in so many ways. I think, oh my gosh, like so much self-awareness has come through that. And that's where I said it hasn't been easy, but it's been amazing, because it's not till we rest where like the stuff can come up that's been wanting to come up that I didn't realize was there. So I feel like, yes, my word of the year has been rest, but it's been an incredibly, it's been a transformational year internally of just deeper levels of healing that I didn't recognize were necessary. So doing that work and having the space to be able to do it. I think in terms of my relationship with my brain, since I love teaching manifestation, it's been an opportunity in a big way to be like, do you believe in manifestation? Or do you like, if you do, why do you think you have to work all of these hours in order to create results? So it's been even diving into that further and deepening my relationship with that. And as I was saying, rest just allows for I think so much more creativity, so much more joy, so much more just breathing, just being. And that's been super influential. I created an entire new course this year because of it. So I didn't even actually realize that's what happened. But it was through those months where I was deeply resting, that first quarter of the year, where I was all these ideas then started springing. It wasn't immediately, but it felt like following that, they started coming of just these inspirations.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think so many people are afraid that if they rest, it's going to have them produce less. And what I know from the behind the scenes scoop speaking to you is you've actually ended up creating this whole money manifesting course that's going to help thousands of people, if not tens of thousands, throughout its life, because you allowed yourself to rest and you allowed yourself. This is very important, everyone. She allowed herself to rest first, not after. She didn't say, oh, I'm going to create this course and then I'll rest. You literally rested and then the course came.
Totally. And it wouldn't have come had I not rested. I knew it was there. It was an idea, but it wouldn't have come on this level had I not done it in that way. And in the past, that wouldn't have been the case. I would have been let me create it. And then after that, and rest never came.
Yeah, because so what's interesting, like you say, you are a manifestor, you created, I know results in your business, but also outside of your business. Even I'm just going to tell this story, actually. I want everyone to hear this story. We were in Italy, gorgeous trip, best trip ever, us and a bunch of our bestie coach friends. And even though I didn't know anyone before the trip, aside from Lindsay, but now my bestie coach friends. And we hired a photographer one day to do photos. You remember?
Yes.
And the sky was grey and it was raining. And we sat around and we were like, oh my, we had this gorgeous, huge patio looking out with the Amalfi views that you want the photos of. And we were like, oh my gosh, it's going to rain. We can't believe it. And I think you said, you were like, well, we're manifestors. What if we just manifested sunshine? I was like, yeah, we could manifest sunshine. And I kid you not, literally the clouds went away. The sun came. If you follow me on social media, you'll see some of those photos sporadically. And it was just such a powerful moment because it was such a simple manifestation, but it really was all the weather and the news reports were saying otherwise. We made it. We made the sun.
We totally did. That was so fun. It was so awesome. And that's the thing is you can use it with the littlest things. And when you notice yourself going negative, that's the time to use it. And so I noticed we were all oh no, it's raining. The pictures are going to be terrible. Are we going to have to do it inside? I'm like, wait. Let's just manifest. We're powerful. It was so cool. Yeah. Rain went away. It worked.
It worked. So I love that story. I think it's such a fun one. But what I was saying was what I'm hearing from you and maybe people listening is manifesting works. You've created results through manifesting, but what you've experienced, and I want everyone to listen to this because I just want them to know who you are, where you are, what you've created, and still the programming that you've had that doing more creates results, that working more, that giving more time to being in your business or thinking about your business or thinking about your clients, it was going to contribute to your goals, which actually contradicts how you on purpose and think, believe. And this is the case for so many people. I think what you feel, what you actually believe on purpose is different to the programming that you've had. Yeah. And by allowing yourself to really rest, you're exposed to that ugly programming. I remember when I went down to my 15-hour work week, my brain was like, you are so fucking lazy. Who are you to do this? You don't deserve results. You should feel embarrassed. Don't tell people how little you're working. No one's going to respect. All of this ugliness came up.
Yep.
And having to meet yourself there with so much compassion. And that's what people forget about rest.
Yes.
It's hard. It's uncomfortable and it's ugly before it's I call it a detox. It's literally a physical detox out of your brain and your body.
Totally. And I'm so grateful that, I was in Time Hackers and know you and, we're friends. And I probably, without you sharing that with me, would have been oh, forget this, back to work. This sucks. But you were there I felt holding my hand through it, oh no, this is normal, right? You're supposed to have these thoughts. You just lay in bed and you notice those thoughts, but you don't give in to them. game changer. And so I'm so grateful that I learned through you, because this is just not something we know. We are not taught to rest.
Yes. And like you say, if you feel like ass, you feel like shit, and you're craving rest, and you go to rest and you feel worse, of course you're going to be like, oh, that's not the thing that I do. I need to do something else. And exactly like you said, it's kind of like, listen, not everyone has it, but I just want to normalize and speak for those of us that do. So this is, I think, the power of why I've created this week to teach, coach, be in a community, normalizing this experience of it, being around other people going through this process, so we can, instead of running away from the discomfort, come and get support a different way, in a way that's conducive to actually our long-term goals. Because imagine, I want everyone to think about this, like imagine trying to rest, having the discomfort and running away from rest. What are you going to do for the rest of your life?
Totally.
Like,
you're not going to rest.
No rest. Imagine.
Same patterning over and over, burnout.
Yeah. And that's what we're seeing, right? Like we're at this, like, we're living at a higher quality of life than ever before, but we're more burnt out than ever before. Yes. We're working more hours than ever before. We're more exhausted than ever before. And our productivity hasn't even gone up by that much. That's what's embarrassing.
Yes. You know what it reminds me of actually is I really was like, I was working on my relationship with my body and with food and wanting to eat more healthy and all of that. And as I started shifting into that and eating more healthy, it's like, it feels so much worse in the beginning. And that's why most people run, right? I actually coached on weight loss for several years. And so it's the same patterning where our brain's like, wait, this feels terrible. I hate this feeling in my body. Let's just go back to doing what we're doing. But then you perpetuate that same cycle over and over and you feel stuck, which is so much worse than that if you just work through that initial discomfort right, to get to the other side, to where just like eating healthy is completely normal to me. I wouldn't even want the foods that I used to eat. Like I don't even think about it. And so I feel like rest, I'm still working on that one, but it's going to be the same, where that's just my automatic. I don't have to actually intentionally try to rest or set the time aside, right? And work with my brain to rest. But eventually it will come a day where, like you just do your 15-hour work week. That's just who you are, what you do. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's necessary. I guess, any transformation, there's that initial liminal space we go through.
1,000,000%. I mean, our brains are like, change. I don't want to. Firstly, it's like, I need to change. And then it's like, I don't really want change.
Not if it feels like this.
Yeah, this is scary and unknown. And we've not done this before. Let's keep like me, let's keep working 80-hour weeks. Let's just keep doing it. At least we know what it looks like, even if it sucks, even if it feels terrible. This is like a new kind of terrible. I don't know where it's going to go. I don't know where the end is.
Yes. Yep. That's it.
Yeah.
We just go through it. And I think rest is one of those that's, oh my gosh, transformational, that I just had no idea. No idea.
Yeah. And I think, like we've spoken about, a lot of the narrative around rest is like earning rest, or this is just a few things that I think we get wrong. One is rest is earned. The other is rest feels good. And the other is like rest is lazy. That's still out there. Let's be honest.
The biggest one for sure. I think that's the conditioning that comes up. Like when you're laying down, whenever you're not working. I mean, yeah, for sure. I had that one.
Yeah. Like I could be doing something, so I should.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I have to earn, not even just I have to earn the rest, but also I have to earn my business results.
Yes.
So I'm seeing this in the 15-hour work week mastermind with my clients in there. It's like they're doing less, achieving more. And then now one of them literally last week was like, I could just be my own VA now. I was like, that's not why. She's like, I've got all the time. I'm like, no, we've not created your 15-hour work week. And successful launches for you to just be your own VA, just because you can, but it's going to keep showing up. It really is. I don't know. I just think even in school for me, you can tell me what your experience was like, but in school for me, it was like every time has to be accounted for. You have to be doing all the things. If you weren't, my first year at high school, I didn't do any homework all year. I don't know why I didn't do it. I can't get back to that brain and understand my thinking process. But I remember going to parents' evening and them telling my mum, and she was like, why didn't you let us know during the year when we could do something about it? And then I got this reputation of being like lazy and whatever, but I was actually a really hard worker. I just never did what I didn't think I had to do.
Yeah, totally.
And
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, and then the narrative throughout a lot of my school was like negative towards me. Yeah. Like I've spoken previously on the podcast about being an underdog with what I achieved and everything, but it's literally doing less is bad. Instead of, how about like, I didn't do any homework that year of school and I still got all A's for my GCSEs. Why aren't we celebrating? Why isn't that better?
Right? Yes, 100%. Why aren't we looking at you and being like, wait, how was that done? Yes. Yeah. I mean, there's so much conditioning that I took on too, where, I mean, I just remember even growing up, like we weren't allowed to lay around the house. If we were, as kids, there were 5 of us. And if we were like laying on the couch watching TV, my parents would go outside, go play, go find friends, go run around. Like we always had to be doing something or being outside. It was never, we couldn't just rest. So of course it's challenging. Of course it's new and different. And I have to not relearn it, but learn it.
Yes. I think that's really, yeah. And it's funny, now I've got a little baby and it's like the best thing a baby can do is rest. That's like literally the best thing for them. He actually had some vaccines today and they're like, he just needs to rest. That's how we recover the best. And it's like, how many people when they're feeling sick or ill, like push through or like, I must push through versus like actually letting myself rest, recover properly and then showing up. And my genuine belief, and I'd be interested to hear about your experience, I think we've touched on it, but if there's anything else you'd add, my genuine belief is resting is more valuable than 80% of the things on everyone's to-do list, like 80% of them.
I love this thought. And I believe you. And I think that's something I still am working on. That's something I'm still working on for sure. Yeah. But I believe, I agree. Yeah. I agree. I've seen evidence of it, but my brain is still like, wait a minute, but all of these things, right? So I'm still working through this. And even like we were talking about right in the beginning, before we started recording, I was like, this is the perfect timing for the podcast because I had to go back through and think about like the benefits of the rest. And now I got myself a little bit out of it because I've been traveling this summer. I've been finishing up the course and I didn't really honor my full rest week and I'm feeling it. I can feel it. So I'm still doing the internal work around this.
Yeah. And also I'm glad you shared that because it's not about being perfect. Nothing that I speak about is being perfect. Even I will share with you all, when I came back, my first week back after mat leave, and I was just going to do 3 hours, but then I got on the call with my VA and I was like, oh, you know what? We could just do this and do this. And I just like had a million ideas because I'd not looked at anything for a few months. And I literally said to her I know resting is valuable. I know that I wanted to pace myself. I know, all of this stuff I know, but my inner hustler, whatever, that's my go-to pattern. And I think whenever we, do something different, so for me, having a baby was something different, and then we come back to doing something we were doing before, the oldest habit shows up first. It's like, hey, I'm familiar. Kind of like, I guess if I was to go to, like, so you spoke about food, I think like, if you're someone who, I'm trying to think of an example, like say you don't have any desserts or whatever, and then you're like, oh, I'm going to have one dessert, but then you end up wanting 3 or having 3.
Yes.
Because that's how you used to be. And
totally.
Right.
Yep.
So I literally said to her on the call, I was like, oh, don't let me do any new project for this month. Like, I'm just not doing it in July. Yeah. We're just, no, like, even when I come to you with an idea, just be like, thanks.
Yep.
And I think it's totally okay to ask for support in that way. And we don't have to do it all alone. I think a big factor is, like you said, in our conversations, in Time Hackers, in programs, in community. That's why Rest Week is a community thing. Yes. A big part of it comes in being able to own, honestly, where you are and just get that additional support. Because, I mean, my thought is in the real world, most people, I still get it with my parents, bless them. They're like so shocked. I'm living with them now while my husband's still in France. And they're so shocked at when I came back, how I was working before Ethan was born. And even now, like, they're like, but you're you're like growing things, you're creating clients, like things are all working, but you like don't do anything.
Yes.
I'm like, yeah, well, I do just the most important stuff, but thank you. They're just from a different time.
Yeah.
Now they get it. But if I think back to the conversations we had at first with me cutting down my hours, there was a little bit of like, I mean, they love me, but there was a little bit of like, yeah, but what are you going to do? Yeah, but then you could do this. Yeah, but have you thought, my dad literally was like, the other day I was saying how I would love a co-working space near me. There's these pubs. We should like turn one of those pubs into a co-working. He's like, why don't you do that? Why don't you rent the whole thing, renovate it? I was like, because I don't want to work more. I'm not looking to fill the time, but
yes.
It's just that different mindset.
Yeah. And I mean, I know whenever I'm even working with my clients around this, not that that's my specialty, but I help them slow down. And I think one of the things that I notice most is they're like, well, yeah, what do I do? Like if I don't even know what I would do if I had more time. And it's like, no, that's not the point, is to do more. Yeah.
Everyone just listen to that question. I promise that's come up in people's heads as we've been talking. But what would I do if I had more time? Yeah. And we want to know it ahead of time so that we can feel comfortable instead of learning to be comfortable with space.
Yep. Oh my gosh, the most amazing thing we can learn to do. Being comfortable with space, being not even comfortable, but holding space for uncertainty and all of that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, because the reality is, and I'm going to go more into this in the program, in the pop-up, is spending time in space is spending time with yourself. And if we can't get good at that, then what relationship do we have with ourselves?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes. And that's the work I've been doing, is relationship with self, that I didn't know. It's like, oh, I did that work. I went to USM. I did tons of retreats. And I'm like, oh, there's another layer. That's completely it, is relationship with me. I'm doing inner child work that I didn't recognize was, it came up, and that's it. So really that's what rest is. So
so fun. Okay. I want you to tell everyone about you and about your program and about how they can find out more about you and where they can buy your money manifestation program.
So as we touched on, I have a new course that is a result from resting, and it's called the Money Manifestation Course for Entrepreneurs. And I have a program along with that. So if you want to do a deep dive into money, can also do coaching as well. And that comes out August 31st. And I'm so excited about it. It's been so much fun. So that comes out August 31st. And then, if you want to connect, I love connecting with humans. So I'm at Jamie Berman on Instagram, Jamie Berman _. And you can find me at jamieberman.com. Just look up Jamie Berman everywhere. That's where
we're going to link it in the show notes, of course. And I actually have, and hopefully Jamie will be there for Rest Week, and you can also ask her questions, and I'm sure she'll be happy to help as an expert.
I'll be there.
Just dropping her in it right now. Well, because I think it's super interesting. I think it's great to ask more different people their perspective, and like you say, sometimes maybe I'm a bit further along, and sometimes the best thing is to speak to people at different places. It's not about, like I said, this being perfect with it all the time. So I would love and appreciate you being there, and everyone can get to ask you questions, and then you can people can find you and stuff there as well. Amazing.
Beautiful.
So fun. So if you want to hang out with me and Jamie and lots of other amazing people, come to Rest Week. It starts the 22nd of August. It's going to be full 7 days together. It doesn't matter if you just join and then you don't do anything. Like, it is the opposite of doing, even though there's going to be live coaching, powerful questions, like everything that I build, as you know, through Time Hackers, everything that I build is built around what's the least that you can do for the most amount of impact. Yep. And that's the same with resting. What's the least rest you can do for the most amount of impact? So if you are listening and thinking now is like the worst time for me to even think about resting, doesn't fucking matter. Don't let anything put you off from investing on week in this, because as Jamie shared, you don't know what's on the other side. You don't know what you're going to be able to create on the other side and experience on the other side. And rest really, for me, was the key. It was like the unlocking of a better relationship with myself, a better access to creativity, more self-trust, more willingness to fail and put myself out there and have other people disagree with me and stand for what I believe in, and all of this juicy stuff that I want for each of you listening.
Definitely join. It's going to be so worth it.
Yeah. So it's vikkilouise.com/rest. That link will also be in the show notes or available on my Instagram at Feminist Time Coach. Thank you so much, Jamie.
Hey, thanks for listening. I hope this episode is something that you'll be able to add to your manifestation toolbox to come back to when you need a little extra motivation. If you like what you've heard today and want to take it deeper, you've got to come check out my signature coaching program, the Money Manifestation Movement. It's the place where you'll not only learn manifestation, but you'll begin to live it alongside me and an amazing community of like-minded entrepreneurs doing this work together. Head on over to jamieberman.com to learn more.